Back together again.
Yeah, first episode.
Right? On 420, no less.
That's right. Can't believe it. It's already been another year. Though last year, the whole entire month was 420. That was a
420,
lot of weed.
20.
For 2020. Didn't have no 2020 after smoking that 420.
I want to say I pretty much spent all of last year high.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm spending all of this year high too.
So far.
Yeah, so far. I'm going to keep that one going.
For me, it was, I mean, of course, it wasn't all of last year. It was basically from March 18th on.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. It's like I had nowhere to go. I was working from home. Still am working from home.
I think for a lot of us, it's still going to be a thing for some time.
Right. But I did have a policy. I would never start smoking till after 3.
That's a good policy to have. Keep it fresh during the day, and
that's when
reward at the end.
That's when East Coast closes. So once East Coast is closed, I know I'm not going to get any more work.
Good point.
420, man. Where did that even come from?
Well, there's a lot of stories and myths and legends behind 420, so let's get into it.
Ooh.
Welcome to Ideology, first episode, 420, the origin story. So the origin of 420 is still unknown, but there's a lot behind the scenes that not a lot of people know about. I have to admit, I honestly never knew the origin of 420 up until recently. And as a stoner, I kind of feel like I missed the mark there because I feel like I should have known that.
Right? That's like...
So shame on me, but I am now educated and I now know.
I mean, when I hear 420, I think of... like other number codes like 5150.
Right.
And stuff like that. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe there's a police code. Maybe there's some kind of like radio code, dispatcher's code that's 420 and marijuana related. And that's where it all came from.
Well, that brings up a good point because that's actually one of the myths and legends is that it stemmed from some form of police code. But the research shows that, you know, the bigger police outfits, the LAPD and the NYPD, they don't even have a code 420. But one of the other larger outfits, the San Fran PD, they have a code 420, but it's not related to marijuana. So that myth has definitely been debunked.
Yeah, that sounds just about right. If none of those police departments have 420 codes, I can't imagine any other areas.
Yeah, not that I could think of either, you know, and when we say codes, we're talking, you know, police radio codes,
right.
But there's also, you know, the penal codes in the books and everything too. So
point.
Did some research on that and could not find any penal codes relating to marijuana at the number of 420.
Okay. Well, then, I mean, if we're just thinking about the origins of 420, where does it come from? I imagine we could look at like Snopes or something and try to figure that out.
Well, we could certainly look at certain things like that. One of the other legends is the legend of Bob Dylan's song, Rainy Day Women. So one of the most famous lines in that song is, everybody must get stoned, multiply 12 by 35, and you get 420. So I found that pretty interesting, given the nature of the song is really all about getting stoned. But it also came to mind is did Bob Dylan hear about, you know, 420 and then just turn it into a song for profit? Or did he, you know, actually start it?
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't listen to Bob Dylan.
I don't listen to Bob Dylan either. I had to do my research and I listened to the song and things like that. But I certainly don't listen to Bob Dylan. Not my forte.
That's interesting, though, because that's just an odd like pair of numbers to just randomly write into a song.
Right.
12 by 35.
Yeah, like, did you just pick it up because it is going with the flow of the song, or was there a purpose behind it?
Right. And I would be very curious to know what that purpose is. Like, how did you come up with those numbers? Where did you come up with those numbers? And why put them together into your song? Like, what message does it add to the lyrics?
Yeah, I agree. If anybody out there has Bob Dylan's phone number, why don't you go ahead and give him a call and find this out for us and let us know what the true answer is.
Like, inquisitive minds want to know, what other origin stories have you heard?
Yeah.
About 420?
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of them out there. I mean, that's the thing about myths and legends. They are far and wide. Anybody can come up with their own myth and legend and say that it's from some far time ago. So I'm sure there's more out there than we've heard. And if you guys have heard any different myths and legends about the origin of 420, please share them. We would love to hear them.
Right. Definitely would be an interesting read. Now, I remember something popping up called The Legend of the Waldos.
Ah, yes, the Waldos. The guys dressed up in all red and white stripes with beanies going around. Yeah.
Like a hippie American version of Clockwork Orange.
So, yeah, the Legend of Waldos. So this legend has actually been brought up by somebody who specializes in cannabis and has a museum in Oakland, California, which actually I'm quite interested in going and visiting because I've never heard of this museum. Not so sure I want to go to Oakland. I fly there periodically just as a change flight route, but I'm not so interested in going to Oakland. The Oaksterdam Cannabis Museum in Oakland has shared the story of the Waldos. What that legend says is that 420 started just as a group of friends at San Rafael High School in the early 70s who called themselves the Waldos. And they would often meet after school when, everybody's gone, faculty's gone, sports are gone around 4:20 p.m. to get high. It seems totally viable, but who didn't do that when they were in high school,
I didn't.
Yeah, me either. I didn't start smoking until much later. But
I wasn't cool enough for that.
I definitely had the group of friends that would do it after school or before school. Like they'd go hide out by the tennis courts, where nobody was at in the morning, or after school they'd go find the least busy place to go do it.
I'm imagining, the group of 5 kids that hide out under the bleachers.
Yeah, bleachers. Popular spots at my school were like the theater, or we called it the F quad.
Okay.
Because our school is broken up into quadrants.
Okay.
And the F quad was the theater quadrant, so it was never really busy. And there's these bathrooms in the F quad that were tucked in the farthest spot in the back of the F quad, and people go into the bathrooms and smoke weed and do other stuff.
He means the sex.
That's right. And so that was a real popular spot. And then there was just some of the kids that they would just flat out go do it wherever they wanted to, as long as nobody was there. Just a quick rip, and that was that.
Nice.
But yeah, so the Legend of the Waldos. It seems like a pretty good starting place. But over the years, how would that have been tracked? Who says that that's truly where it comes from? Because as we've said, these are all myths and legends.
Right.
So, like I said, anybody can create whatever they want.
Where's the proof?
Where's Waldo?
You said the Waldos was supposedly early 70s.
Yep, that's what I found was sometime in the early 70s.
What about the Bob Dylan song?
So I had to look that up because I was curious if Bob Dylan was, had heard this legend and wanted to make profit off of it, or if maybe the legend of his song is true. So the Rainy Day Woman, where that line about 420 is, that actually came out in 66, which is before the legend of the Waldos. So I'd say that the legend of Bob Dylan has some pretty good ground to stand on.
Gotcha.
That it is possible that he is the originator of 420.
Now, where does Bob Dylan stand in relation to Willie Nelson?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like they're in the same realm or genre of music, and I'm sure that they probably smoke out all the time.
It's not like Willie Nelson's famous for it or anything.
No, not at all. He doesn't have his own strains or his own brands or anything, or endorsed brands, because from what I found, the Willie's Reserve brand is just endorsed. It's not his own brand. Though I feel like in this day and age, most celebs have their own brand, so he probably does. And I've just never heard of it.
That makes sense. Dwayne Johnson has a tequila brand.
Who doesn't have some form of alcohol brand these days? I just recently saw that Metallica came out with their own whiskey. I think it's called Blackened.
Whiskey in the jar.
That's what they should have went with.
Missed opportunity.
Metallica, if you're listening, hire us for your marketing.
Right? No, I mean, you're not wrong, though. Like, Ryan Reynolds has a gin.
Sure.
And a cell phone company.
I didn't know that.
Right? Mint Mobile.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's just an odd combination of business ventures.
I mean, you gotta make your money somewhere. Not like they need to make any more,
right?
Or less. I mean, each their own.
It's an odd. I'm gonna have a gin company and a cell phone company because I can. I remember one of my first 420s. I think it was a spur of the moment type thing, but it was you, me, and your wife.
Mm-hmm.
And we went and we watched Friday at Northtown Mall.
That's right. They re-released it on 420.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. That was, God.
Years.
Yeah, it had to be at least 6 years ago, probably. Yeah.
Pretty close.
That's right. So, yeah, we went and watched that and then went back to my place afterwards and hung out and we were drinking, of course,
right.
What we typically do each week. And then we decided to pack the hookah, but put some weed in there along with the shisha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That was your first 420.
Yep. Now, was that the night with the jungle juice?
God, I don't feel like that was the same night.
I don't think it was, but it could have been.
But I could have swore that your first time was the jungle juice night. Yeah, you got crossfaded because we had been drinking pretty heavily and then decided
that jungle juice went down smooth.
Oh, of course.
Because it was some kind of pomegranate berry.
Yeah, something
whatever, and then like Southern Comfort.
Or it was either SoCo or Fireball. I don't remember.
One
but
of
it
the
had some bite, but yeah, it was smooth.
I could not stop drinking it.
Just tastes like juice.
It was going down so smooth. And then I got the first taste of the herb.
Oh yeah, it is great. But that's the thing about the hookah is like you mix it in with the shisha, so you got the flavors. You're not going straight bud.
Mm-hmm.
And if you smoke it as if you were just smoking a regular hookah, a few puffs, pass it around, and keep going until it's gone. Mm-hmm. Then that weed comes and creeps up on you. I just remember seeing you sit on the edge of the couch, hunched over, and I'm like, "Uh oh, we done did it. We done broke the gun." Crossfaded. Yeah. And I gotta say, being crossfaded is the absolute worst. I've done it a few times and I certainly do not want to do it ever again. That's one of those times that you're just like, I'm gonna fucking die. This is ridiculous. I'm not gonna make it. And then you're just like, I'm never gonna drink again. You're going through the whole gamut of hangover and just doing too much. And then the next morning when you're feeling like ass, you take a fat rip off the bong and you're like, I feel so much better. Hand me a beer.
And we did that too.
Yeah, air the dog.
Jesus.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta level out the next morning. But the infamous pink stain.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we got this guy crossfaded, he hunched over my couch and decided to evacuate all of the jungle juice that he had consumed all over my champagne carpet. So we were renting at the time and, we're like, well, that sucks. And, we're cleaning it up. But that juice stains like no other. You just drop it on your countertop. It's stained. Like that carpet was destroyed. There was no saving it, no cleaning it, no amount of carpet cleaner on earth would ever remove what was on that floor. And I just remember thinking after we went to bed and you were still dying in the bathroom, I was like, well, he's never going to want to smoke or hang out with us again.
And here we are 7 years later.
Yeah. I mean, hell, it was only like a week later and then we did it again, minus the crossfading.
Right. Oh, man. Good times.
Oh, yeah. Great times. When we're all having a good time like that, you don't think of those things. We don't
Yeah.
I didn't think to be like, hey man, you might want to slow down because we've had a lot to drink or whatever.
And of course, I wouldn't think of it because I've literally never done it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a bad thing. That's a no-no. So my first 420, my origin story, I have to take back to get some context on this. Growing up, I was always offered and allowed to smoke weed. My parents felt that if they went the opposite of what most parents do, which is, tell them no, bad, gateway drug, the whole gamut of whatever,
right?
That they're more likely to go out and do it. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you give, your child options, they may or may not.
Right.
And I can say that I never did. I hung out with all the stoners and, I'd be around them when they were getting high, but I never did it. I just never really felt the need or it necessary or really knew much about it. But I always had the ability to do so. And, I would be able to get some weed from my parents because we knew a whole bunch of people that grew and still do. So, I never really thought about it. And then as I got older, started developing more sleeping problems and becoming a huge insomniac, I got tired of not being able to sleep. And one of my grower buddies was like, hey man, why don't you just give it a shot? I've been thinking about it, because I want to get some sleep. I'm just fucking tired of it. Yeah. And so I kicked it around for a little while. And then one day I was, drinking with my family, just having an outdoor barbecue, having a good time. And I just up and decided, fuck it, I'm going to give it a shot. So I went and talked to my mom. I was like, hey, you got any weed? And she's like, yeah. So she went and rolled me my first joint and went and smoked it. And after that, it was weed for life. I mean, it was great. I didn't get crossfaded because I hadn't been drinking a lot. But, I certainly
like this guy.
Certainly, felt more effects though, because I had probably, 7 or 8 beers by then. Yeah. But yeah, man, I was just chill, good times. We ended up watching some stoner flicks at the end of it. And I was just like, okay. And then shortly after that, I ended up, getting an 1/8 of some really good grow that my buddy had. And that's kind of where it all began for me. And then, the wife came into the picture and she had already, smoked way before I ever did. And, we shared a lot of times that 1/8 and got some wax too. And, put that on the hookah. I mean, we had lots of good times with MJ.
That hookah.
So many hookahs ago.
I've been contemplating getting a hookah.
They're great, but man, it's just a lot of work. I mean, I wouldn't say little payoff, but it's a lot of work if it's just going to be like 2 people.
Right.
Definitely great for, parties and whatnot. But wife and I have been talking about it. We still have ours, but, we'd have to buy all the stuff to get reset up, coal, shisha, burner, all that stuff. And it's like, it's just a lot of work for 2 people. It's easier for me to pick up my mod and go vape.
Right. The convenience of modern technology.
Yep. In the palm of my hand. That, and I get all the flavor too. Not to say that, my hookah didn't have great flavor, but it certainly ain't got the wild flavors that these juices have.
Right. Absolutely. I remember we would smoke the hookah in Pirates Bay.
Pirates Cave.
Pirates Cave.
Yes. Yeah. One of my favorites.
That was our go-to.
Oh man, that's so good.
Tasted like berry Skittles on crack.
Yep. Sprinkle a little bit of the green in there. Just a nice mild ride. Yeah, dude, that ounce that we had that you tried that we got from that one of my buddy's friends. It was called Maca. That shit gave me just the most ridiculous body. I felt like I was sinking into the floor. Like I'd be standing and I felt like I was standing below my body. Like I could look up and see myself. That was so wild, but it was the most relaxing ever. That come down fucking hit you like a ton of bricks. Like lights out.
That was me this morning. Oh no, it was bad.
Yeah.
Like, I was in migraine world.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's brutal. You know what'll fix that? Fresh bowl.
Ended up being a bowl of kimchi ramen.
I mean, hangover cures, man. We all have our home remedies. That's a topic for another episode.
Yeah, we could disappear down that rabbit hole. Ideology fans, do you want to be on Ideology? Have a topic you want to hear us rant about? Drop us a comment on your favorite social platform or visit ideologypodcast.com.